Hi and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be looking into problem number 217 on leetcode, which says contains duplicate. Given an array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice in the array. So if any value appears at least twice in the array, then we need to return true. Otherwise, we should return false if every element is distinct. In other words, it's unique. Right. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 1. 1 appears at least twice. So meaning that the whole thing must be true. And then if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, each element is distinct in this case. Therefore, we return false. And then again, we have 3 ones, 3, 2 threes. So it's obviously a true. And then, yeah, so this is important. There's the constraints and every bit of information on this as a problem is absolutely important. So it is worth noting that we'll have at least nums greater than or equal to 1 in our problem, meaning that nums will always have something. Right. We don't need to handle the cases whereby there's nothing. So let us just jump straight to it. And yeah, so somebody might come and say, you know what, I can do this in a very simple manner and use brute force, and you know, it should take me to the right solution as well. So let's just try doing that and see what happens when you use the brute force. We can just say, okay, fine, I have a count to be equal to 1. So we'll assume that each character, or there's at least one character, and then from there you do your normal loop. If for int I equals 0, and then you say I have I less than nums dot length, and then we have I plus plus, and we'll also have our second loop here because this is the brute force solution. And then we have for each int j equals to I less that plus 1. The reason we're doing that is because we want to start from one character more than the one in the first loop. J less than nums dot length, and then we'll have our j plus plus over there, and then we just do this. Right, then okay, we can say that if nums at I is equals to nums at j, what we need to do is we need to increment our count. Right, and then after doing this, then we need to say, okay, fine, if our count is greater than 1, meaning that there's at least one letter appears, or one number appears at least twice, then we need to return a true because we are greater than 1 there. Otherwise, then it means that we have distinct values. Okay, so fine, let's try and see, run this and see if whether we'll have a successful submission. Yes, 0 meters per second, this test do pass, but let's do a submission and see what happens. So yeah, right, so the time exceeded. Why? Because this solution takes a lot of time. This is big O of n squared, right? So we need to narrow this down in such a way that it doesn't consume a lot of time as well, right? So this is when we need to ask for help from one of our data structures. I'll just use a map. That's why it's important to come up with a O of n solution. Right, so we have a map of integer, and then I'll just call it a map. I'm lazy to think So we'll have that, and then we'll say, okay, fine, for each int I equals 0, and then we'll have I less than nums dot length, and then we'll have I plus plus. Okay, then what we need to do is we need to check if whether the map is not empty. Right, sorry, it's empty, and then if the map is not empty, then we need to put in some stuff in there. It also means that that very particular number does already exist. So what we'll do is we'll just put it there, and also get it from the map, because if the map is not empty, it means that that particular character, or rather digit or integer, already exists. So there is a method called a get or default, so which will pass it nums, or we'll pass it rather yes, right, nums at I, and then we'll default it to 0. Yeah, right, 0. Okay, 0 like this, and then I'll do that so you can see. We'll default it to 0, and then we'll also add 1 to that. Remember, we're getting this from the map, and then we're just incrementing it. That's what that statement is doing. And then otherwise, it means that the value doesn't exist, the integer is not there. Then let us simply put it in the map. All right. So here we'll start from 1. Cool. And then so what we need to do now is we need to look through the map, and then we'll have map dot entry, or you can iterate through the nums there and do a get. But otherwise, what we need to do now is we need to say this integer. So this is the entry. We'll just say entry, and yeah, so we'll look through the entry set, right, and then from there we'll say that if we find that there's any entry dot get value thereof is greater than 1, then it means that immediately we must return. We do a return true, because that means that we have at least one character, or rather digit, or rather int, appearing twice. Otherwise, it means that we didn't find any solution. Let's run our program. Hopefully I don't have some typos. All right, let me see. Map. Right. Oh, sorry. So it should be, it's an interface. So let me just say hash map. Thank you. And then let's try again. Right. Our test do pass. Let's do submission. And this time it does accept it, because we are now at big O of n.